Hey, it's Tpok, and I'm back in Katawa Shoujo, and now instead of just me with my broken heart, I now have Hanako with a little piece of paper over. So, to town. My body switches into auto mode, carrying my subconscious self out of bed and into my uniform. As always, my bottles of pills sit on my desk patiently, waiting for me to take them and pick out my daily dosage of medicine, 17 pills a day. Before I know it, I'm opening the door to class 3-3, glad to see that I'm not the only one who seems to be a little hungover from the festival week. Every face in the classroom looks gaunt. With the festival now over, it's as if everyone's life dreams have been achieved. With nothing left to live for, the students have relied on instincts alone to guide themselves to class. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I slowly make my way to my seat, and it's only then that I realize why the room is so peaceful. The seats beside mine are blissfully empty. The world's loudest interpreter for the deaf has yet to arrive. Are you kidding me? Just as I'm about to sit down, the door flies open, revealing a resplendent Misha, drills bobbing from the dramatic entrance, and arms stretched toward the sky. Yahoo! It's all over. It would appear that not everyone is affected by the post-festival depression. The rest of the class glare at her, obviously thinking the same thing I am. Misha, still frozen in the doorway with her arms still in the air, nervously looks around. It's obvious that she senses the foul mood, but can't work out exactly what to do. Suddenly she jerks forward. Hey! As she stumbles into the classroom, she reveals Shizune, arms still extended from where she shoved Misha. Thanks for the entertainment, but shouldn't you two take your seats? Still slightly embarrassed, Misha takes a few seconds to realize she has to translate. Oh yes, Shi-chan says she's not happy with you ditching us last week. Why did I ditch you? We were really busy. Is that so? What about the stuff I already did for you two? She says that only counts for council members. Since you declined, she doesn't owe you anything. Misha leans in closer and whispers conspiratorially into my ear. Actually, I think she's just a little sore that you didn't spend the day with her. Uh-oh. She's really thankful for your work last week, though. Sensing that she's being talked about, Shizune lightly wraps her fingers on her desk until Misha turns around to face her. I can't understand any of the fast-paced signing that's going on, but from Shizune's slightly embarrassed expression and Misha's poorly contained laughter, I can guess. While this exchange is happening, the door opens once again, but this time at a much more reasonable pace. Hey, it's Hanako! Hanako quietly enters the room and pulls the door close behind her. Peering out from under her hair, she quickly scans the classroom. Our eyes meet and she suddenly stiffens. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and then walks over to my desk. Good morning, Hisao. Morning, Hanako. You're a little late, aren't you? Why are you saying that, Hisao? Don't make her feel bad. I was talking to Lily about today. Oh, so you've got her list then. We can leave straight after classes in that case. Sure. I'm looking forward to it. Hanako briefly flashes her embarrassed smile at me and then hurries off to her seat. During classes, it becomes apparent that it's not only the students that are a little despondent after the festival. Mutao simply gives us a list of exercises from the textbook and then sits behind his desk. I totally forget about the brief lunch period for a moment, such as the banality of the day. It's mind-numbing, and everyone seems surprised when the bells signal at the end of the lessons. As I am packing up my bags, Shizune and Misha flank and entrap me. Say, Hichan, it's still not too late to join up. There's a lot of post-festival paperwork for us to complete. Sorry, Misha, I've got plans. As if sensing the cue, Hanako appears behind me, holding a small bag and trying to avoid eye contact with the outside world. Misha's eyes open wide, and then she bursts into laughter. You move fast, don't you, Hichan? We won't disturb your date any further. Behind the roaring Misha, I see Shizune taking far too little interest in the scene. I might be taking this the wrong way, but I think she's deliberately ignoring me. Oh, hey. I feel a gentle tug on my shirt and turn to see Hanako's eyes fixed firmly on the floor. Let's... Gotcha. Shizune, Misha, I'll see you later. And I'm still not interested in the council. Spoil sport. Misha and Shizune retreat into the hallway, happily signing to each other. Got all your stuff? Let's head off. Super pompous gate. Floods of students pour out of the school gates onto the road into town. It's a little weird. It's almost as a scene from any other high school, but the illusion fades because of the occasional wheelchair or missing limb. One thing I do notice is that nobody is alone. And as Hanako and I pass through the gates, I notice that she closes the distance between us. Not enough to be considered close, but she certainly isn't at her usual just a little far position. I guess we're not familiar enough for her to get as close as she does with Lily. However, even though she has moved a little closer to me physically, mentally she seems to have traveled a mile. Her hands clutched around the leather straps of her bag to the point of whitening her knuckles, her head down and her mouth pursed closed. She almost looked like she's being walked to the principal's office for the first time. I tried to stifle a giggle at the thought, but it's futile. Don't laugh at her, Hisao. What's the matter? I guess there's no point in hiding it. Sorry, for a second it looked like you were getting into trouble. What do you mean? I think you need to relax a little. We're not going too far and it's only students around, right? Right. It bothers me a little to see Hanako so worked up. And you do this every week, don't you? Yes, with Lily. Of course, with Lily. I wonder, has she ever left the school without her? It doesn't seem like much at first glance, but Hanako's dependence on Lily is absurdly heavy. If she can't even handle leaving the school without her, how would she have managed to survive if the two had never met? Would she have found someone else to latch onto? And what drew her to Lily? Was it her lack of eyesight, or was Lily just kind enough to lend a hand? Sadly, English is my first language. And I'm messing it up this bad. I wonder if anyone would have fit the bill. Well, I'm here. Besides, we're not going far. It'll be over before you know it. Hanako's knuckles. Oh my gosh. Hanako's knuckles slowly regain their color as she tries to hide a small smile, but the effort of that seems to prevent further conversation. We travel side by side down the winding road towards the town. The crowd of students thins as we continue along the sidewalk. Faster students rush ahead, and the less mobile ones fall behind, rarefying the crowd into nothingness. And we're back at 7-Eleven. By the time we reach the convenience store, we are practically alone. Using me as a shield between herself and the attendant, Hanako moves through the narrow aisles, adding an assortment of items into her basket. Bread, milk, tea, thyme? Is that thyme or thyme? I don't know. What kind of convenience store sells herbs? Then again, nothing about this town seems normal, which may not be such a bad thing in retrospect. Everything is so different and uncomfortable, dwelling on such matters isn't really an option. When I think about that, it reminds me of Hanako. No matter how much you try, you can't escape her scars. They still interrupt my train of thought when I see them. As much as I don't want to admit it to myself, I think I'm forcing myself to try to ignore them. Not that I am scar-free myself. The jagged line down my sternum will never completely fade away. I just have the luxury of being able to hide it easily. But in a way, both of our scars remind me that we're all in this place for a reason. Dots. Hanako throws one last item into her basket, then sheepishly holds it out to me, along with a few banknotes. Also, I'm paying for it. Could you please? It takes me a second to understand what she's trying to say. Oh, you want me to pay for this? She nods but doesn't look up. I guess this task falls to Lily on the usual occasions. Sure, let me just grab a couple of things. Hastily, I grab a few essential items for myself and head for the counter with Hanako in close tow. The attendant gives me an indifferent nod as he scans the items. I suppose just ignoring us is one way to deal with the anomalies of Yamaku. They must get a lot of students here, being the closest store to the school. The staff must all have their own way of dealing with us, or maybe they don't. Maybe it's only me who thinks twice about my unique schoolmates. Our transaction complete, Hanako and I head back out into the street. That was a weird sound. What was that sound? The road is pretty much abandoned now. The students that were heading out have already left, and nobody has started returning just yet. And with only the school ahead on the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone else around. The emptiness certainly reflects on Hanako, her arms by her sides, each carrying a bag, her head no longer bowed, and back to the upright position. It's almost as if she were enjoying the walk. Well, good for you, Hanako. So why are all these weird things? Mixed spice? Why would you need that in school? She's gonna cook something, obviously. I sometimes like to make food. Well, yeah, so do I, but spices. Hisao, do you know about cooking? You need spices for certain meals. That's a little bit advanced, don't you think? Not really. Well, I think it's cool. You'll have to teach me one day. Sure. She doesn't seem all that sure, but pushing the point doesn't seem all that wise. At the very least, she seems a great deal happier than she did on the walk down here. That alone makes me a little happier. Outside the girls' dorm, Hanako and I sort out the grocery bags with our respective purchases. In comparison, my things look positively plain. I tell you, you're putting me to shame here. No, I'm not. I'm only joking. I have a stack of homework that I skipped last week, so I must leave now. Will you be alright getting that to your room? Yeah. Sure, okay then. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. We part ways and I return to my room. Piles of papers sit upon my desk, begging to be completed. With the entire ruckus of the last week, I barely had any time to catch up. I tried to keep up with my studies when I was in the hospital, but some of this stuff I'd never seen before, even back in my old school. Totally unprepared, I pop the top on a canned drink and get to work. That was the shortest day ever. Jeez Louise. What was that, like 10 minutes? These days are really starting to heat up. This morning, I awoke covered in sweat. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, that puts me in high spirits. It's not even 8, yet I feel that this day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of a life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. For a second I stop mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warning about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up those morning jogs. Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace... who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that with some kind of motivation. Yeah, I hardly stick to my morning routine. I actually have a class, so I'm required to show up, which I guess is motivation enough. But it is tiring starting to work out at 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. and then go straight to class. Pretty tiring. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as exercise, right? Especially the walk back up the hill. Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty exercise. It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her unusual vigor. I should know how to pronounce this. Vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring, as now she's sticking her tongue out at me. However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact. The lunch bell seemed to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. The heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone. Hisao? Hey there, Hanako. What can I do for you today? Hanako already has a lunch bag in hand. I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going. Would you like to have lunch with us? Yes. I brought enough for everyone. Awesome. You didn't have to be so stiff about it, though. Ah, right. Don't insult her. I take it we're going to the tea room? Please? Lily said she'll meet us there, so we should go ahead together. Sounds like a plan. This heat has made me pretty hungry. Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of the world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from laziness promoted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off other thoughts. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she's prepared for everything with utmost care. I guess Lily isn't here yet. Should we start without her? She'll be here soon. Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice. Here, let me help with that. I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Okay, Hisao. You took it from her, saying that you're stronger than her. So don't be able to open the lid, don't just fail. You let me down. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut. Let me guess, did you put this in while the rice was still hot? Yes, I was in a rush. I put the container on the table between us. I thought so. It looks like this is wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. But that could be a pain in here. We'd get water everywhere. Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal? At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag of stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same. Since you two had a change of plans because of mine, I thought I would bring a little something. Thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you. With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's riceless platter. I hastily make some tea to complete the picture.